Hello there, folks. I'm Dan Brown from a sort of interestinglife.com, and today you're going to join me for this nice little 23-mile walk all over Shropshire and heading just a bit into Wales. And I really want to start with this. This is our true starting point for the trip. This is a photo of good old Narrowboat Tilly taken the night before I set out, and basically first thing in the morning I biked about 3.3 miles into Oestrus Tree from Maysbury, where Tilly was, to my mum's house, left my bike there and then set out to walk to Western Ryn, which is normally and most directly a 5-mile bike ride or 5-mile walk on my favoured route. But instead this was, as I say, a 23-mile route with a lot of winding and going all over the place through a lot of roads that looked an awful lot like this. Now, I've tried to cut down the almost 8 hours into 8 minutes, so hopefully it won't be a massively long, super boring video. And firstly, as we head around the places that I grew up wandering around the racecourse and outskirts of Oestrus Tree, just wanted to throw in this little clip here, as I always find it terrifying that there's a lot of places where the road, because it's cutting around these hillsides, will just drop off down a big steep bank to literally, if you go too far over the curb by a foot or so, you could be hanging your wheels over places like that drop we just saw. And equally, I love all these little roads where you can see from the fact there's grass growing in the middle of the road here just how much traffic and how rural and sort of almost abandoned a lot of these places are that I like to head over. And luckily, I'll say that as the cows were standing guard on this stile to get into this field, I didn't actually want to travel into that field. Firstly, as it wasn't part of my route, and secondly, because I was being warded off there. But when I talk about these country lanes and the places that I grew up, this is exactly the sort of shot that shows just how much they do wind around and just travel all over the place, weaving in and out of all these low hills as we head into Wales. As we pass over probably the worst cattle grid that I've ever seen, you'll notice here that we've got this absolutely fantastic view, which we'll just have a slightly different angle on now to really enjoy it. And this is just looking straight into Wales, down over Llandudno, which is where we're heading in the very centre of the shot as I say this right now. And I mean, this is just one of those places that I've loved since I first discovered it, like getting on for a decade ago. And the road goes really steep downhill there. It's awesome on a bike, if not terrifying. And this is a little bridge down at the bottom of all of that steep hill. There I stop and as many times have spent my little dinner breaks during these walks at this exact spot. And this was where I had my dinner on this particular day, and as you can see it was a mere 8.7 miles and 3 hours into the trip. Now, heading into Llandudno itself, there's almost nothing there. It's got the traditional things you would expect, such as the pub here and the church just at the back of the pub, and also, of course, we couldn't overlook this absolutely adorable character, who I'm now naming the Llandudno cat. And I love the way that it actually got up on that little information point thing there for whatever gas or water's below the pavement, to better get a stroke and a bit of a cuddle off me. This is the church, and again you can see that, 12:15. I'd already been walking for over 3 hours at this point. And equally, there's a random little feature here. We have got a military shooting range just nestled up in this little valley. You can see that sort of sandy patch there right in the middle of the shot is the actual shooting range itself. And what an absolutely beautiful view this is. This is a photo I took from, I suppose, the other side of the valley as that view we had earlier on, as I was heading up to Ruddy Crusoe, which again you'll see the spelling of that and some of the local places in just a second. Again, here's one of these places where you've got the road going past a massive drop off, and I love this sign. I absolutely love where you've got a load of great Welsh place names on it, and I mean Llanarmon DC. I honestly can't think off the top of my head what the D and C stand for, but they're equally great Welsh names. And this is again one of those features that I've always loved, a random old telephone box here with an actual working telephone in it, which is a rarity these days. Now, here is somewhere that people may recognise from my Dan and Sarah Adventures series. This is Pennygrowly Reservoir, again, somewhere that I just absolutely love, and I can't tell you how quiet and peaceful it is out here, because it's just all nestled away in these hills, and there's not too much around, really. Admittedly, up here at Llandudno, again, don't ask about the spelling or the proper pronunciation, it's somewhere where there's ironically, in the middle of all this peaceful area, there is a random dirt bike track. But again, I mean, I certainly don't begrudge people having fun and enjoying themselves. Certainly not out in proper places like this. And in fact, I believe I'm friends with the owner on Facebook. So hello if you're tuning in. As we have a quick camera pan around here and zoom in on the distant hills that are goodness knows how many miles away, I'm just going to leave the commentary for a second and leave you with the actual recording and audio of how quiet it is out at this particular spot here. No, honestly, that really was the actual audio recorded, and it wasn't a muted clip, and I just absolutely love it. Like I say, I mean, there's just nothing around really for miles on end, and you can see here this is also sort of bundled into the Llandudno area, although as far as I'm aware, there's only actually maybe one or two houses there, so I'm not sure what actually defines Llandudno, but again, what a beautiful view. Now, here is somewhere a lot more familiar as our trip's coming to an end here. This is the other side of Mount Woods, which I will post the link in the description to that, and also the Pennygrowly Reservoir video as well. So do check those out for loads of scenery. And this is literally just one hill away from being up and over at Western Rin, which we are zooming in on here. Actually, to have the final location in sight was definitely a relief, as I had a pretty sore foot at this point, and I started to just cut through the fields. A little bit naughty, I know, but as you're about to see, it did also lead to me making a few new unnerving friends following me across one last field. So I suppose, as we have a look at the last few bits of imagery and footage from the day, this was the actual completed trip. You can see how windy and weavy the route went, and there is 22.8 miles, just under 8 hours. This was the breakdown of how long it took me to do each mile, and the numbers on the right hand side are how many feet I gained or lost during that time. But now I will say thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you've enjoyed a little look at some of the scenery and some of the roads that I've spent so many of my pre-boat years wandering around. I certainly enjoyed revisiting them, and feel free to tune in and check out my other videos for loads more things like this and loads of boat life and goodness knows what else. Feel free to check out my short boat life books for the Kindle as well, Search Amazon for The Narrowboat Lad, find links to them and an awful lot more in the description below. Until the next time, keep it boot worthy, keep it boat worthy, and have an absolutely fantastic day. Farewell.